Hey everybody, Koricon here, and I am in the offices of the Longmont Observer. Wanted to try something a little different. And we're going to be talking about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, new animated film directed by Bob Persichetti, Peter Ramsey, and Rodney Rothman. It was also written by Phil Lord, who was, one of the duo that worked on the Lego movie. And so that was pretty cool. And the movie is starring Shamalik Moore as Miles Morales, who's our main Spider-Man, our main character in the film. This guy right there. Jake Johnson as Peter B. Parker, which I'll get into that in a sec. Haley Seinfeld, which if you saw my Bumblebee review, she was in Bumblebee. She voices Gwen Stacy. Marshala Ali, who's Uncle Aaron. And a whole bunch of others. I mean, Lily Tomlin is in this, Zoe Kravitz, John Mulaney. Nicolas Cage does a voice for Spider-Man Noir. Liev Schreiber, Chris Pine. I mean, there's so many people in this movie. Oscar Isaac. Stan Lee even did a voice before his death. So, a lot of people in this film, and it is an animated film. The animation was really unique, and one of the huge positives for this movie. I haven't seen animation like this before, and if you have, I would like to know where. CGI animation, but kind of mixed with like a look of almost claymation, in that you had a lot of like movements but stops. It wasn't all fluid movements, but there are moments where there are fluid movements. So it was a very unique animation style. Plus, when you get into the Spider-Verse, now this is a spoiler-free review, so I'm not going to be giving anything away, but this does involve the Spider-Verse. For those of you that don't know what that means, it's a multi-universe of Spider-Man from different universes, and Spider-Women, because Gwen Stacy is Gwen Spider. But you have Kingpin, trying to save his family in the universe with Miles Morales. In this universe, Peter Parker is dead. He was killed by Kingpin. And so Kingpin is making this interdimensional or inter-universe machine so that he can save his family from another universe and bring them in so that he can have them. He's like obsessed. But in doing so, he risks the, damaging the universe and every other universe that it's connected to. So after the machine gets turned on, you're getting these spider people from different universes that come into Miles Morales' universe. And Peter B. Parker is one of those Spider-Men. And in this movie, that Peter Parker is like 40. So he's been doing Spider-Man stuff for over 20 years. He's not in the best shape anymore. He's got a little bit of gray hair. He's kind of grizzled, like he's seen everything. Bad guys do the same thing every time. And he's kind of a curmudgeon. He doesn't want to help anybody, really. He just kind of looks out for himself and then stops bad guys. He's been doing it a long time, kind of like old Batman. So the spider people that come into Morales' universe are Peter B. Parker, Gwen Spider, Spider-Pig, which is interesting, and Spider-Man Noir. So Spider-Man Noir takes place in like the 1920s. He has like more of a dark cloak and hood thing. He's the one that's voiced by Nicolas Cage, and he's also in black and white. And so the animation for all of these different characters is different. Oh, and there's another Spider-Girl. She has a robot. She's from a whole other universe, and her robot is the Spider-Man, and she controls him. And that was a very interesting character. But all of these different spider people are kind of animated a little differently. And I thought it was really interesting how they integrated all those different animation styles, especially with Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Pig, and the Spider Robot. I don't even remember comic books for that one, so I don't know where that came from. If you know, let me know. The biggest positive for this movie is the characters are great. The animation is amazing and different and unique, and beautiful, like beautiful animation, especially for some action sequences. Looks awesome. Voice acting was great. And it was interesting just seeing all these spider people that we would never get in a live action movie. Now, we could still get Miles Morales in the live action films, because in Spider-Man Homecoming, his uncle was inferred that he is his uncle was Donald Glover. And I think they billed him as the uncle character. So maybe Marvel, since they only have the rights to Spider-Man for 6 films, and that's almost up, that they were laying the groundwork to be able to use Miles Morales in the future. I don't know if Sony has the rights to Miles Morales specifically, or if Marvel shares it and maybe they just wanted to set up so that they can have a Spider-Man. I'm not sure. I'd like to know the details on that, but they did set it up to show that he's probably in the MCU. Now, I wouldn't say the story was simple. I mean, it was pretty predictable, I think. It had a lot of intricacies and a lot of characters. I liked that. So it's maybe a little bit above a simple story, but not overly complicated, which is good. This is mostly a kid's movie, for most animated films are. So you don't want to make it too convoluted or they're not going to understand what's going on. But the motivations from Kingpin seemed a bit out there. Like, they made him out to be a lot crazier than I think he is in the comic books. He's a bit smarter in the comic books, kind of like a Lex Luthor. DC and Marvel, their similar characters would be Lex Luthor and Kingpin, except Kingpin is gigantic. And they really played on that in this movie. They had the size that you would get from the comic books for him. So one bonus from being an animated film is you get a lot of truth or a lot of great pullover from the comic books. You know, you can make them look the way that they do in the comic books without it being silly. You know, the hard part about live action is you're going to end up making your characters look silly, or the costumes don't properly look well on film. But with animation, you can pretty much make it look exactly like the comic book. So overall, I'm going to give Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse an A-. I think the story motivations from Kingpin were a bit, over the top, and it was predictable, but the characters were awesome. I loved seeing this animation and the action. Everything else was great. So I highly recommend seeing it, especially if you're a comic book fan. If you're a Spider-Man fan, it's great. But let me know what you guys think. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Links to all of my stuff is in the description below. So if you're watching this on the Longmont Observer website, you can go to my YouTube video and the description will have all of my links. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys on the next video.